This week in the Missouri Senate, we review more legislation that could become a part of the 2025 regular legislative session.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, SB
Senator Jill Carter of Granby sponsored Senate Bill 814 this year. On January 17th, she told the Missouri Senate Education and Workforce Development Committee this measure would have created the Education Freedom Act and modified provisions relating to the assessment of public elementary and secondary schools.
The Education Freedom Act would allow third-party accreditation and flexibility in assessments for accountability. There are currently 28 states in the District of Columbia that allow third-party accreditation, something that we have in place for private schools, higher ed, virtual schools, and parochial schools. Third-party accreditation will provide mentorship to schools to reach individual performance benchmarks and goals tailored to those local gaps through peer review and best practices, something that schools don't currently have. This bill will also allow for flexibility in their assessments. A few years ago, schools across the state began to band together to petition the Department of Education for flexibility waivers from the antiquated testing model.
So far, Senator Carter has not pre-filed this proposal for 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. This is
Senator Brian Williams of University City sponsored Senate Bill 1447. On April 2nd, he told the Missouri Senate Select Committee on Empowering Missouri Parents and Children his legislation sought to authorize a sales tax for early childhood education services.
So essentially what this statute would do is create a new tax for early childhood education, and instead voters in counties utilizing the statute would need to authorize a tax under a separate statute. So for example, an entity state proposing that St. Louis City and St. Louis County utilize the general purpose sales tax authorized to fund their early childhood education fund. They would essentially allow the counties to appoint a board of directors to administer the tax revenues collected for the purposes of a community children's service fund.
Senator Williams has pre-filed this as Senate Bill 20 for next year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Senator Curtis Trent of Battlefield sponsored Senate Bill 804 this year. On January 10th, he told the Missouri Senate Education and Workforce Development Committee this measure would have established accountability measures for all public elementary and secondary schools.
50% student growth, 50% overall student performance in statewide assessments requires that the department prepare a school accountability report that is to be clear and easily accessible. The report card is prepared for each school district and charter. Additionally, for high schools, we create a college and career readiness measure to allow fair comparison between schools, and that shall consist of 60% college and career readiness and 40% end of course exams and high school graduation rates.
Senator Trent has not yet pre-filed this proposal for 2025. And remember, you can follow these and other issues facing the Missouri Senate, plus see a complete list of pre-filed legislation by visiting our website, senate.mo.gov. Reporting from the state capitol, I'm Dean Morgan.